Beat Cop's the closest you can get to living in an 80s cop movie without being an 80s cop. It doesn't shy away from the tropes, but embraces them deeply, allowing the player to walk the street writing tickets for broken taillights and making cement shoes for some extra cash on the side. The game plays entirely with the mouse, which isn't a huge problem except in some of the more stressful days when hotkeys would have been great. The graphics of the game are really detailed with classy pixel art. While not winning any awards with ray tracing, the game certainly has its beauty to the grime of the city. The music of the game is also great at bringing you into the 80s. However, the music outside of the cutscenes is completely provided to the player through the radios that are on the street, so as good as the music is, you're not going to be hearing it constantly. The ambient noise is great at filling the void with realistic sounds of the city and all that comes from the things that you can see actually happening, which is great for immersion. The gameplay doesn't fall behind the music and the graphics either. Most of the time you'll be walking from one end of the street to another, answering calls to dispatch and writing tickets. These calls can be anything from a carjacking to kids causing a disturbance outside the church. You don't answer just to the precinct either. You have people and the business on the street to take care of, and the two crime organizations that both want you on their side of their war. Beat Cop leaves it up to you to balance your time spent on the street. Do you get close and personal with the mafia, down and dirty with the crew, or perhaps you seek out the good life and want to clean up the streets for a change? The game lets you make the call and make cash however you see fit. Beat Cop does a fantastic job in making vehicle violations visual from a glance. The lights sparking when they're broken, meters being red when out of time, and tire tracks being behind the cars that have done too many burnouts. Once you notice these signs, you can write tickets without having to check the lights and tires manually through the interface, saving you time. Even with all these little details for ticket writing, the game goes out of its way to take your attention away from the tickets so often. Some of the time, even filling in some of the story with the people on your beat or your character Jack Kelly. After all, you do have a case to solve if you want to stay on the police force, or at the very least stay out of jail. Talking to people is the key to staying informed on what's going down on your beat, including the comedy-filled intro sequences that start every day. All the members of your precinct will give you peeks into their lives and occasional hints while being snarky, sarcastic, and vulgar to one another. Helping people on your beat can also make your life easier, providing free meals to keep your constantly taking down stamina up and maybe even giving you a break in your case. I will admit that having low stamina never gave me any problems, but having it higher certainly makes it easier to be less stingy with your sprint. I suppose it's time to talk about the problems the game has. Though they are few in number, they are still there. The checkpoints in this game can seem very unforgiving at times. The game saves at the start of each day. If you mess up something, you either live with it or restart the day, and as a bit of a perfectionist, I found myself taking breaks from the game if I messed up a particular day a few too many times. Most of the time, this was caused by me failing to do the puzzle for searching the car. I've never been very good at slide puzzles, and limiting me to so many moves just caused me to fail time and time again. I don't believe taking actual time to figure out your moves matters, just the amount of moves you make, but still I always manage to mess it up. Another thing that bothers me is that some of the missions don't tell you where to go in the notes. While I always read the dialogue, my memory is awful and I got sidetracked on occasion and got lost in the process. And let me tell you, the guides for this game are not that great, though I can't really blame the game for that. Most of the time, it tells you 603, apartment 5, but I wish it always did, especially if it's telling you in dialogue anyway. Overall, Beat Cop is a pretty great game. With about 10 hours of playtime per playthrough and multiple endings, it also has great replayability and bang for the buck factor. I like the game enough that I almost wish there was some kind of endless mode, but I'll settle for just playing through the story again. If you like 80s cop movies and have a darker sense of humor, then this game is worth trying out. Just be careful with Dirk Wad. You don't want to get caught in his crossfire.